Hey guys, Chris the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my shed. I just put my video up only 3 hours ago of my shed tour and update and having a good walk around and looking at all this clutter and all these projects I've got to do. So I only filmed that yesterday. I've been in the shed again today. I only posted that video, as I said, 3 hours ago, having some great comments already. There's been a few good suggestions about I should clean off the workbench there, which gives me an area to work on, which is a good idea. Keep going on the computer stuff while I've got it here, while it's fresh in my mind and set up in the other room. And I have done that. I've tested and cleaned, and I've taken those 2 monitors to the shop to sell, so that's already done. Someone suggested hanging a sheet in the emergency storeroom as I walk past, just so I guess so it's not so traumatic every time I walk in. And Wayne, I think, suggested the workbench. He also said take 1 box every day out of that room and gradually you'll get it down. And that's a great way. I fully support that strategy of cleaning up or achieving any big job. And it's like Ian Matthews will tell you, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. And it's amazing how you can get a big job done just by chipping away consistently, and the key is consistent. Anyway, this video, it's going to be a bit of just a in the shed video again, nothing particular. I have got a box of stuff, a bag of stuff just come in today. A few more projects in my little room that I'll show you in a tick. I thought we'd unbag this lot. It's like Santa's sack. It was a lady across the road said, I've got some e-waste for you, so we'll have a look in that together. I don't know what's in here. Let's go and have a look in the other little room just before we get started on this bag. So it's been a great day in here today. I've done a few other jobs as well. I've been out and about a little bit, so I haven't spent the whole day in here. But I did get those monitors done, which I was pleased to do. And I've just grabbed these out of the van. We were at a place just the other day and a lady just gave these to me. They don't work, so they're likely to be 3 more projects. And that's how things just accumulate on top of me here. It's like it never rains, it pours, and it's just been doing that for years. But you know what? I love it. Oh, look at this. Who remembers 3D Pipes screensaver? Pretty cool, hey? So that computer's working well. I've tested those monitors, and all's good with those. Now, what was I saying? I know what it was. Sunseeker mentioned in a comment just on today's video, why don't I employ someone? You'd have to, crunch the numbers, but I've got so much work here. Sometimes you need to actually look at employing someone to handle all the work. I've been there. I had a mechanics workshop for over 10 years. I had 2 guys working for me. Believe me, I'm not wanting to get my business bigger. In fact, even anything, I'm scaling it down. We work 4 days a week at the shop down the street, which doesn't feel like work. We love it. We wouldn't want to give up the shop, even though we probably could financially if it came to the crunch. But the shop's a great avenue for selling junk. It's a great avenue for contacts, for getting house lots. It's a great social outlet. Kristen and I love the shop, and we have a lot of fun with customers. You meet some amazing, interesting people, especially passionate collectors. So I would never want to lose that. As far as dealing with all the stuff here, I wouldn't want anyone else to do it. This is what I love to do. I'm comfortable amongst clutter. I'm comfortable with hundreds of projects ahead of me. If I had nothing to do, I would go crazy. I'm not one to sit and watch telly. I've always liked to have lots of things to do and lots of things to learn, and I'm enjoying all this. So I wouldn't want to give it to anyone else to do, let alone pay someone else to do it. So I'm not under any pressure. I don't have to. It's not like when I clean my shop out, I don't have to have this place empty by any particular time. I would love to have it reduced a little bit in quantity so that I can set up my workshop properly. I would like to get a metal lathe in here at some stage. I would like to get a bit more equipment and set the workshop up so I can do some more woodwork and that sort of stuff. But it's not the destination that I actually want. It's the journey getting there that's part of the, that's the rewards, that's the satisfaction, that's the thing I enjoy doing. So that's a long-winded answer to that question. But look, appreciate everyone's comments on the other video. Before this one ends up a marathon of just me chatting at you, let's go and unbox that bag of goodies and see what's in it. So this is a bit like Santa's sack. She said it was e-waste. And the lady has sold her house and she's packing up at the moment. So looks like we've got a modem here. I don't mind these because I like to reuse the boxes for sending eBay parcels in. There's just your standard modem stuff, some Ethernet cords, which I do keep a stock of those in the shop to sell, but if I get too many I just chop the plugs off and recycle them. Just the plastic, there's not much in here. Actually the modem isn't even here, so we don't get a lot out of this. We just really get a cardboard box and some leads and a bit of recycling. What's next? Here's a safety link. Oh, it's a answering machine, I think. I guess it's for older people when they're living on their own, obviously with the help. Maybe it doubles as a answering machine as well. I'll check out eBay to see if they have any resale value. And if not, we might just scrap it out. It should have a reasonable board in it. But if I can at all resell it, I will. There's a standard figure 8 power cord. I do keep these because they go with radios and things. And when I get extra, I sell them through the shop. And we have a little power supply, 9 volts DC. That might have a use. If not, I do sell power supplies. A little torch lantern. Looks brand new. Oh, maybe not. It's just put back in its box. Oh, it just goes. The battery's flat. But that's all right. We'll be able to sell that. Put a new battery in it, or even a second-hand battery. What sort of batteries does it take? Okay, 3 of those. I've got 3 of those AA's, I think. So we could probably get $5 for that in the shop with some good second-hand batteries in it. And I have a constant supply of batteries from when I get old TV remotes and things. They've nearly always got good batteries in them. And what do we got here? Oh, binoculars. They're not e-waste. Oh, they look near new. Bushnell. I don't think they're going to be top quality brand. Well, something loose in there. Ah, the lens has come apart. Yeah, and I think the prism's loose in there, so they're obviously no good, although they may be able to be fixed. We'll have a better look at those shortly. I might check out to see how good a brand they are, because if they're a cheap set, it might not be worth spending any time on them, but if they're a good set, we might be able to fix them up and sell them. Another little lantern. We have a compact disc CD player. Okay, we might check that. If nothing else, it might be a good shed radio. I assume it's a radio as well. Yes, FM antenna. A power board, and that looks in excellent condition. I do need some more power boards in my shed, so that will have a use. A bag of bits and bobs. There's some batteries. We'll check the batteries. As a night light, perhaps. A few connectors, a little bit of wiring, and another little torch. Oh, and here we have a modem. So we'll scrap that out because they're almost, well, they're impossible pretty much to sell. I've never had any success selling these, but they do have a nice mid-grade board in them. And that with the power supply with it. And I will sell the power supply. What are we looking at? 12 volts. 2 amps. Yeah, that should sell okay. And that's the end of our bag of goodies. Okay, I've done a bit of checking, I've done a bit of testing, and I've been doing some sorting. Let's quickly run through what we've got, and tomorrow we've got a few more jobs to finish this video off. First of all, the little CD radio works beautifully. If I push start, I threw a rock and roll CD in there. So I think you'll be able to hear that all right. We better not play that too much longer. And the radio itself, that works very good as well. So quite a saleable little TIAC CD player, radio, be good in someone's shed. I'll just put $10 on that. We should sell that, no problems at all. And that's what that cord belonged to. I said they'd be handy for a radio. I didn't realise the radio was in the bag. These two items, well, the modem we're going to scrap. I'm also going to scrap out this safety link thing. I did check online. I'm not sure if it's similar overseas, but Australia has a personal response service for elderly people, and it's a safety link. It's like a obviously emergency call for help, and you can get a pager with it, or like a little medallion that you wear that you press if you have a fall. This one is outdated. It operates on 3G. The latest ones are 4G, so it's not of any use. So we'll scrap that out too and see what's inside it. These other things, well, I told you I'm keeping the power board, the two power supplies. This one was off the safety link thing, so we'll sell both of those. I usually get $5 each for power supplies in the shop. People are looking for them for all sorts of things, even if they just want to set up some strip lights and need a little 12-volt charger to run them. So they're handy gadgets. The torches and lights, I'll show you those in a tick. A few little $1 sundries. I'll probably put them in the free box, actually. There's a luggage tag from a suitcase. There's a new rubber stopper for a walking stick, a couple of key tags, some brand new elastic pieces. So people have uses for that. So we usually have a little free box out the front of the shop, and that stuff will go to people that will use it. A bit of cardboard, some paper, some soft plastic for recycling. The box I said I'll use for eBay as a postal box. And also I found a couple of cable ties. Well, I always use those. And the little Ziploc bags we use at the shop all the time as well. So they're consumables. I checked all the batteries. I just put a meter on them. And as long as they're greater than 1.5 volts, I keep them. Because remember that if they're half flat, they will drop down quickly under load. But if I get to 1.5 at least on the meter, then they're fine for running clocks and all sorts of stuff. So they're all good batteries. These three were flat, and they'll be recycled with my dead batteries. We have the Ethernet cable and a phone cord, and there was also a little flash drive. It's quite an old one. It's only 3.8 gig, I think. But they can just go into a dollar box at the shop. And what else did we have? A little bit of rubbish. That's all that I'm going to be putting in the rubbish bin, less than a handful. We have two projects to do tomorrow. We have the binoculars. I'm going to see if I can fix them. The top panel there does come off, so we'll see if we can re-glue the prisms that are loose. And this one eyepiece is also loose. They're quite flimsy looking things. It's not very good quality. I did look up the brand, and they sell for around $100 or so, but they're really not very well made. So this eyepiece is adjustable, so you can focus this one. I've taken the rubber things off if you think they look different. This one is fixed, so it's supposed to be glued, and the glue's just let go. So I'll be able to re-glue that one. And hopefully we can re-glue the prisms inside, and at least we'll get something that's usable and saleable. It may not be worth a great deal, but I think it should be a fairly easy fix. The other thing we're going to try and fix is this little torch thing, because I did put new batteries in it. They're new batteries as well, or at least, plenty of power in them. And the LED still glowed very, very dully. So I would suggest that the LED might be had it. It's not really economical to repair, but I'm going to see if I can fix it anyway, just because I like a challenge. So we'll have a look at that tomorrow. We'll also have a look at the binoculars, and I'll show you these other lights quickly. We also had 3 good batteries in this one, and this torch works brilliantly, so we'll probably get $5 for that with new batteries in it. And I've just swapped the batteries into this little night light, and it works beautifully. It has a sensor on it as well. Whoops, it's doing some weird strobing. There you go, so it goes off. You can also have it so it's on permanently, which way the switch goes down. So yeah, we'll probably get $5 for that too if I put some batteries in it. And I've just swapped the batteries into this little one, and how good's that? So that little thing works well too. So we'll get $5 for that as well. Alright, another day in the shed, guys, and we're just going to see if we can fix this little lantern torch thing. So I'm applying 5 volts just to this little LED, and you can see there, I think you'll be able to see that, we've just got a faint glow. There we go. So the LED's got problems. So I'm going to see if I can change it out. Now, I saved this. It was off a handheld torch thing, and it's a whole array of LEDs. And I saved it because I thought, you know, it might be handy one day. I didn't know if I was going to use it as one big panel, but I've taken one of the little LEDs off it. So I've unsoldered the wires, and I'm going to surgically remove this old LED. Somehow it has a terminal on each side. Hopefully we stay in focus here. So I'm thinking I might just kind of cut this plastic, and as long as I've got somewhere to mount the new one, I can just solder wires to the terminals. And here's the end result of my fiddling, guys. I've mounted the LED up on top there. I had to put a little bit of insulating material underneath to stop the leads from the LED shorting out underneath, because it had a metal, the actual board's mounted on a little piece of aluminium. So that should work fine. I've got the battery cartridge in below, and if we actually push this down, it will connect. And there we go. We have a nice bright LED. It appears to be working fine. The three 1.5 volt batteries give us 4.5 volts. It's probably a little bit rich for one of these LEDs. I think they're normally about 3.5. So I don't know what sort of life it's going to have. But anyway, we'll put it back together and see how it goes. The other consideration, and we'll see when we get it together, I'm not sure how this LED will light up the perspex, the sides of the lantern, when it's in sort of lantern mode, because I think this one has more of a focus on it, so it's probably better for the torch. Anyway, we'll put it back together and see how it looks. Okay, this one's back together, and as a lantern, it's not too bad. But most of the light is focused up the top, as I expected, because of the shape of the LED lens. But as a torch, she's pretty good. So there we go, that one's all fixed. We'll take that back to the shop, and that can go with our other $5 torches. Okay, time to see if we can make any headway with these binoculars. I'll take this panel off here and see where it leads us. Alright, I just discovered I had to undo a screw in the middle here to take these lens mounts off, the eyepiece mounts, and I think they can just stay there now, and we'll see if we can get this cover off. There's one more screw around here, and that should get us into the area we need to fix. Okay, this top prism lens appears secure, but I think it's one down in here, so we may have to take this one out. Looks like there's just a spring steel clip there holding it in. It actually looks a little rusty. Now, how are we going to get this clip out? Some pliers maybe, if it's spring steel. Oh yeah, there we go. So I think it's glued in as well. Oh no, well, maybe it was, but it's certainly loose. I'll try not to get fingerprints on the surfaces. Looks like they just smeared some sort of glue compound just on one corner to hold it in position. And the one underneath clearly hasn't stayed in position. Now I'm not sure how we're going to get into that. We might have to actually get in from this end. So does this lens unscrew? These are very cheaply made. That thread is very lumpy. Oh, and there's the spring steel bracket from the other one. And there's the other prism or lens. It's quite scuffed. It's been floating around in there for a long time, so we'll have to clean that up a bit. But it's not broken, and it's not damaged, and I can see where it goes. So I'll clean it up. I'll try a little bit of silicone just around the edge, and I'll try and fit this clip back in. I can see where it goes. I might have to take this cover off, I think. So nothing's damaged, it just needs reassembling. And the quality on this is actually rather atrocious. It's like it was just held in by one spring steel piece and a small dab of glue and a large helping of good luck, I think. Yeah, I reckon I can put that back together. Well, that went easier than I expected, actually. The lens is repositioned in there. I've got the spring clip over the top of it. That one has a little bit of surface rust as well, so these binoculars haven't been kept in the best environment. But I've got the prism cleaned up quite well, and I've just ran a bead of silicone along the one side there. It should, I guess it stops vibrations maybe, because the spring clip holds it fairly firm, but the silicone should help glue it. And the old compound, upon closer inspection, and we'll have a look at this other one here, it's actually only on one spot, and it's like a bit of a putty. It just scrapes off, so it did nothing. I think my silicone will be a bit stronger, and we've got that. That was the lens or the prism that was actually rattling around. There's a few little chips to the ends, but I don't think it'll affect the field of view. So that one's all done. I'll put this cover on, and I'll be able to refit the other one the same way, and we should be good to go once the silicone cures. I'll put it back together. Okay, I don't know how well this is working, and it's probably not in focus, but that's through the binoculars at the school across the road at their chimneys. There we go. It's probably not in focus because I don't have my glasses on at the moment to see anyway. But the fact is, they're fixed, they're back together, they actually look as good as anything, and I've tried them and they work as well as you could expect binoculars to work, I guess, if you don't really know much about binoculars. But let me give you a tip: don't buy this brand. They are crappy. They are really poorly put together. Although it could well be that this is their cheap range, the Power View perhaps. Maybe they're just the budget model. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. I've fixed them. I've never serviced or repaired binoculars before, but they've come back together pretty well. I've also never replaced an LED on a little torch before either. It sticks up a little bit in there, but it works fine. So that's got those two jobs done. All we're going to do now to finish off this video is we'll just scrap out these two. I'll just open them up and show you the boards, and then we'll call this little unbagging episode complete. Okay, time to wind things up. It's just starting to rain outside. It's got quite windy today, so hopefully you don't get too much background noise. What do we got here? Well, this is the spoils, I guess, of the garbage bag Santa sack e-waste that a lady that lives down the street gave me, as you've been watching. And what value did we get? Well, pretty good, really. I fixed the binoculars. I'm going to ask $20 for those. The radio and the CD player has been playing all day. It goes great. I'm going to ask $10 for that. So there's 30. I'll get 5 each of these things. So that's another 20, 25. So it's at 55. I'll use the box, and there's just some consumables and $1 stuff we won't worry about. So $55. I do have to report that this ended up a fail. I went to show Christine how well it worked, and it didn't. So I think it must have burned out the LED. 4.5 volts must have been too strong for that one. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to muck around with that anymore. It can go in the e-waste, but it was an interesting experiment. If I have the right voltage LED, I know I can fix them. So nothing for that. I scrapped out these two pieces here. They can just go to the transfer station into the e-waste because there's still some electrical bits in them. And I was talking to the e-waste guy out there this morning, and the plastic does get recycled. It goes down to a place called Seaford, which is south of Melbourne. So I know it'll get recycled, which is great. The boards, as you see there, they're both mid-grade boards. They're probably worth about $1 for the pair of them. And the power board I've tested. Interesting, they had USB outlets. I didn't realise they made them that way. That's got to be $10 worth, but I'm going to use that in the shed. I also got nearly $10 worth of good batteries, and only a small handful of rubbish, which you saw earlier, and a bit of recycling. So that's it. Pretty happy with that. What did we get? 55, about $60, plus another $20 worth of value for my shed. So not too bad at all. So one person's trash is indeed another person's treasure. I just really enjoy going through stuff and processing it. I like to try and fix stuff even if it's not economical. So I've talked enough about the stuff in my shed the last couple of videos. I love it. I don't feel like I'm under pressure to get it all processed. I'll just deal with it as it comes in. Eventually I'll get to some of the good treasures I've got stashed aside. I've taken note of all your comments, and keep commenting if you see these things in the background that you'd like me to do. I've now got a bit of a short list of a few things that you guys have identified. I'll try and get to them soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next video. Bye for now.